morning, year threes, and it's the whole of year three that this video is designed for. So if you're expecting Miss B and you're in green class, don't panic, you're on the right place. It's Mrs. Ludlow that will be delivering your videos at the moment. Okay, so lovely to see you, and hopefully you're all keeping safe. So I'll get started with our English now. We're going to be doing our English lessons based on a lot of Greek legends and myths this term, so that'll be really exciting. We've got some very inspiring stories to get our teeth into, so I think you're going to like it. And we're going to start off with features of a legend, because there is a difference between legends and myths, and a legend is based with some sort of historical sort of like origin. Okay, and we'll have a look at that as we go. Okay, so the first thing on here is we'll go through the spag starter. Okay, you don't have to print this out or anything like that. We'll just go through it on the PowerPoint. I might give you a bit of a pause so that you can just pause the video and have a look at it, and you know, think about which ones that you would choose if you were in class. So it's slightly different to how we do things in school, but we just get to grips with it as we go. Okay, my class are quite used to doing this because we were isolating before Christmas, and so it will be new to some of you. Okay, this way of working, but we'll do our best. Okay, we're in this together and we'll do our very best. Okay, so spag starter, we're looking at the proper nouns in this little batch of this little group of words underneath. And proper nouns are specific things. So for instance, they would be names and names of places, days of the week, and names for the days of the months. So if you look at these, you'll be able to find some. So if they're specific, so if they're not sort of group names, it can be used for sort of like groups of things, then you'll be able to spot those ones as well. So we've got just usual common nouns, general stuff, and we've got specific proper nouns, and those nouns get, what do they get? On the beginning of them, they get capital letters. They begin with a capital letter. So things like names and days of the week and places, they start with capital letters. So that's why they're called proper nouns. So we'll have a little look at those. So spot those on here, and the ones that are and the ones that aren't. Okay, so try and do that now. Pause and see if you can think which ones will start with a capital letter. Okay, so those proper nouns in here are Daniel. This first one here, Daniel, is a name, so that should be a capital D, and that's how you should correct them. So if you start them with a capital D, that would be fine. That's a proper noun. There's another one here, Folkestone. It's a place name that we give to the place a couple of miles away. And we've got girl here, so that one's a proper noun. A girl can be any different, you know, any girl. It's not specific enough. It's not sort of like pointing into one particular girl. If that said Charlotte or Cassandra, then those names would be for specific people, and you could they would be a proper noun. Okay, teacher, well, it could be one teacher or another teacher, not specifying which one. So that's a common noun. Mr. Newport, well, we know him, so he's a very specific person, so he's a proper noun. Season, well, there's four different seasons, so that's a common noun. Car, lots of cars around. Not if it was Mrs. Ludlow's car, then that would have a capital letter on it. Playground, loads of those, so common noun. Saturday, the name we give to day of the week, that's a proper noun. January, proper noun. Queen, well, it could be the Queen of Denmark, the Queen of England, so they are common. That's a bit of a trap, that one. It has to be a specific queen. And Spider-Man, well, there's only one Spider-Man, isn't there? And it's not you, Mr. Newport, so that would definitely have a capital S on it. Okay, so we're going to be looking at our new adventures into I'm just trying to see if I've got something here. Actually, I was going to put a little thing out to show you our adventures, and I can't see it. Oh, here it is. Here's my adventure hat. We're setting off to new adventures into ancient Greece to learn about our fabulous myths and legends. Okay, we're going to begin with some legends, and these have a true beginning in history. So we're going to watch a clip of a legend that is about a running man. So watch that. It's only a couple of minutes long. I have to skip off the PowerPoint for the moment to get this going.
In 490 BC, there was a big war between the Persians and the Greeks. Persia was a huge empire, much bigger than Greece. It wanted to capture Athens. The Greek soldiers waited on top of the hill, while the Persian army waited on the plain of Marathon below. There were 48,000 Persian soldiers and only 10,000 Greek soldiers. The Greeks sent a messenger, Pheidippides, to Sparta to get help. He ran for 2 days over the mountains to ask the Spartans, but the Spartans would not fight until there was a full moon. Pheidippides returned to Marathon alone. The Greeks could not wait and attacked the Persian army. The Greeks ran towards the enemy. Persian arrows flew through the air. The Greeks won. 6,400 Persians were killed, but only 192 Greeks died. The Persians ran to their ships and tried to escape. They tried to go to Athens to capture the Greek women, children and old people waiting there. Pheidippides now had another job. He ran 40 kilometers to Athens to tell the Greeks that they had won and to tell them that the Persians were coming. He arrived at the city gates, very tired. "Rejoice! We conquer!" he shouted. Then he died. From this great event, the first marathon race of the modern Olympic Games was run in 1896. It was won by a Greek runner, Spiridon Louis. And, like Pheidippides a long time before, he also carried messages. He was a postman.
I hope you enjoyed that. Now, if you have downloaded your little legend checklist, you should be looking for those list of features that you're going to find in the in a legend. So if you haven't got that, don't worry, you can, if you haven't downloaded that and just printed it out, don't worry, because you can pause this here and then you can go through it with or just on the computer. Okay, so you don't need to do this. And if you want to make some notes in your catch-up book, if you've got that, because those have gone home to a lot of you, you can put some notes in there. Okay, if you're going to use your catch-up book, write the date in there, and if you write your date and your skill in it first, that would be really useful. Okay, it's going to be slightly different to how you've been doing things in school, because you've got your open, you've got your book, and your work can go into that as well. Okay, so if you want to just write down the characters, so you're going to be doing this column here to start with. This is not rainbow work today. Usually we do a rainbow writing and you'll find them in the text. It's going to be slightly different. So we've got the characters. You've got Pheidippides, which is quite a mouthful to say. You have to try and say that one. And then we're going to be finding the features of the legend, of his legend, and then we're going to be looking at the lost city of Atlantis as well. Okay, so the first one you'll do is this one. So Pheidippides, we can do that straight away. So the setting based in history is that it's in Athens. Okay, and it was 490 BCE. And then lost city of Atlantis, it doesn't say when it is, but it's in an island, and it's probably near Greece. Okay, that's an unknown place, but probably because it's a Greek myth, it's a place near Greece. Okay, so who are the characters? Okay, so that would be Pheidippides, and you might want to put in that he's a mortal. We've got a hero, a heroine, a villain. That's a nasty sort of an enemy of the, usually of the hero or heroine. We've got a god. Well, he's not a god, he's a mortal, which means a human being. Okay, and sometimes you get beasts in legends as well. And they're quite exciting to write about. So he's a mortal, he's a human being. So you could write that he's a human and his name in here. Okay. Sometimes you get features that of a legend that you don't always find all of them. Okay, so you'll have a legend that doesn't have magical powers in it. This one doesn't. So if you can't find them, then you don't have to. You know, the legends, the Greek legends, you don't have to have everything in them. Okay, so some you might not find. Okay, and you might not have to use them if you're making up your own legend. You don't have to have magical powers or objects like the trident with, you know, with special powers. But you usually have rules in a legend, and something that happens if something goes wrong. So if those rules are broken, then you'll have a, you know, there will be a curse on you, or you'll die, which is, you know, the curse that we'll look at later. So, and then often there's a moral or an ending to the legend. And with the marathon one, it's about the fact that that the marathon, this started off the sport of marathon running. Okay, there's no real moral. That means the sort of like the underlying meaning of the story, and what's its moral is usually about what it's teaching us. Okay, so you'll fill this one in, and then when you've read The Lost City of Atlantis, you can fill that side in as well. Okay, so this is what's this legend about. So you'll have a little look at this, have a little think. This is your thinking time now. What features might we find in this legend? So now, normally in class we'd be talking to our talking partner and giving our ideas, but you can't do that at home because you can't share partners across the ether. So you'll be talking to somebody. Try and talk out loud as well, because that's really good for your thinking. Or if you've got a grown-up or a sibling with you, a brother or a sister with you, talk to them and just give your ideas. So that's a really good way of sharing your ideas. Okay, so you can pause this and have a think about these features. And then we're ready to restart. So think about those features in here that you've got this person, sort of fish type person. I'm just going to take my exploring hat off because that's slightly getting on my nerves now, and I've got hat hair, I'm sure. So we'll have a little look at that. Okay, he's got a big fork, and this little dolphin saying he looks fishy to me. He does look fishy, doesn't he? Okay, so we're now going to have a look at the Atlantis legend, and we're going to read it together. I've got put another video on so you can play that video with me reading the legend. Okay, and then once you've played that one, you'll be ready to finish off your checklist. Okay, so there's 2 videos, which is unusual for an English lesson. So finally, at the end of your lesson today, you should have the features that you found for the Legend of Pheidippides and the first marathon, and the legend features for some of those that you found for the Lost City of Atlantis. Okay, so fill those in as best you can. And if you've printed that out, you can stick that into your catch-up book or the workbook that you're going to do. Okay, so that's the final part of the lesson. I'm just going to leave you with this lovely picture of a sunken city that's been destroyed. I wonder if those dolphins have got the beautiful ocean setting of the lost city of Atlantis that they live in at the moment. Okay, I'll leave that with you, and hopefully you'll have a good go at doing that work today. Okay, speak soon.